All right. Okay.
So,
There's
schools, man.
schools. A lot of people like to say things like there's mass shootings in schools because there's no God in schools, because there's no more prayer in schools. First off, I don't know what people talk about when they say prayer. Usually people conflate prayer in schools with just the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, those same people will scream about how Islam is going to be required, like if that isn't, or somehow they have to defend against their children being forced into pray Islam or understand Islam at all.
Yeah, I know there's some
I've noticed
people.
a lot of those memes up anyway.
I don't mind any, like, if it's like a historical type context, you know, where they're like discussing, hey, this is what Christianity is about, this is what Islam's about. And it's information, you know, I don't mind that. It's when somebody's trying to say, hey, this is, you know, why you should, you know, this is what, you know, they're trying to like be suggestive of a religious, you know, practice. Is I have an issue with. I think most people would have an issue with if and a lot of Christians kind of like have blinders in the idea that, you know, there's more than just their religion. So it's like you're like, okay, fine, let's say Christianity be taught in schools, but what if you get a Mormon teacher? What if you get a Jehovah's Witness teacher? And what if you get a Catholic teacher that tells your freaking kid that they need to go and confess their sins? You're gonna have a fucking issue. So I mean,
that'll get your kids all confused having a Hindu teacher.
Yeah, or a fucking Muslim teacher. You know what I'm saying? Now you can have any one of these teachers as long as they're just teaching you information. You know that we all agreed is, you know, consensus based. You know, like you want your kids taught religious stuff, then send them to a religious school.
Yeah.
But what I say is a lot of people try and say that prayer is not allowed in school, and prayer is 100% allowed in school.
Yeah.
It's just that your teacher can't lead it.
Yeah, it's reasonable to ask that the school be not a place to push
if you
religion
want,
at all. You know
right,
what I mean?
but I mean, if you want your kid to like pray when they go to school, you say, hey, son or daughter, when you go to hang your jacket up, you need to say a prayer. Or if you have your kids decide that they want to pray before each class in the hall or on recess, they want to say a quick prayer. Nobody's going to say that they can't do that. Everyone's going to allow that and accommodate that. If you wanted to tell your child that they had to pray to Thor twice a day, if your kid said that and the teacher didn't respect it, and you went in there and made an issue and said, hey, we believe in Thor and my son needs to do this twice a day, they would accommodate that.
That would be a funny skit, by the way.
You know, but religion, you know, does have its, you know what I mean? It's just that the teacher cannot say, okay, kids, I believe in this, so right now everyone has to pray to my specific deity. It cannot be a, you know, but if you want your kids to do things, or if you have a religious, you know, because people get mad if like a Muslim kid has to go and do his praying to Mecca thing.
That's what I'm saying.
And he gets excused from class to do something.
Because it's not what they, you know, it doesn't conform with the Christian, you know, which I kind of have a thought that people don't want their kids to feel like ashamed or embarrassed and all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By being like the one kid that's like praying or whatever, like they want it to be fully supported, just like it is in church.
Well,
that seems unreasonable, given that it seems reasonable to ask. I mean, given that we live in a world with multiple religions.
Well,
we can live fairly. It's reasonable to ask that is a God-free place.
Yeah.
To learn things that's required, you know.
Yeah, but
is agreed by the state.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but kind of what I'm trying to get at with I believe. Yeah, I agree with you.
Personally, I think schools should be revamped heavily.
But if you're gonna go to school and you have a religious faith, that's and nice you tasting. Want to some good weed, and you want to, you know, you need to pray to whatever deity you need to pray to, you're allowed to. And you know, if you're like, hey, this is part of my religion, at 2:45 I freaking pray in this direction. Then, you know, and do this little religious ceremony real fast, and then I come back to class. They'll accommodate you.
Just go to the bathroom. Just go to the fucking bathroom.
Right, but I mean, you know, whatever, they would accommodate.
I distinctly remember in elementary school, kids occasionally praying like at lunch and stuff.
Right.
And me being in a devout family, I didn't care at all. And see, I didn't pray, even though my dad expected me to.
That brings me to my point, really, is that, you know, you're not going to see that. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to see that. And so, people are bringing up like, oh, they're really upset and up in arms if their religion's not being taught. Or people are trying to say prayer or religion's not allowed in school. And you're like, what are you teaching your kids? You know what I mean?
Like,
You make them do it during lunch. Make them do it
they
during
kind of get
recess.
triggered, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a persecution complex.
Yeah.
They want to act like they're being like...
That
I remember when I
yeah.
was going to church when I was a little kid, I'd see these, like, we'd all watch this music video by some contemporary artist, and this guy would be, for some reason, in jail because he's a Christian. You know what I mean? And they'd be like, you're going to be put to death, and, like, his wife and kid come and visit him. And they're Christians, but for some reason they're not going to be killed. But it's just like this video to, like, and there's always the lead singer, the fucking person. He's like, I'm going to be killed because I'm a Christian. And
sorry, man.
I'd have to try and find out who that was. I remember I was a little kid. Anyways. But, yeah, if you want your kids to be able to pray in school. Now, let's also take that a little further in that, what are you trying to say? If your kid's a Christian... and he goes to school, he does not have power over him because the teacher's not leading him in a prayer, and so he's going to sit there and let somebody, like, fucking murder them or hurt them. You know what I'm saying? That's, like, such a kind of, like, it makes him kind of a weak person, him. The God is a him. That's another discussion.
Yeah.
He's pretty transgender and gender fluid, really, if you want to freaking...
Or more likely a woman given the creationhood, or some religions think of the creator deity as a woman, and some think of it as a guy.
Right. Let's shelf that one though, man, because let's stay on topic. Because I've fucking got something to say on that.
Are we a nut bust or an egg burst?
Sorry. But okay. So the fact that prayer is allowed in school, and then also, shouldn't this all-powerful deity be able to, save and protect your children who are supposedly in his religion? Shouldn't be able to protect them, but he can't all of a sudden because your teacher's not leading in your prayer. Yeah. That's just kind of makes your God kind of weak if you really believe that, that's why, So you're saying that if there was prayer in school, there would be, like magically no more mass shootings?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just kind of
the
weak,
mass shooting
What about the mass shootings in churches?
Yeah, that happens too, man.
Burnings and bombings in churches. That's fucking, if there's anywhere that God's supposed to be holding it down, it's in his home, where the place where that's all that's being talked about is God.
Yeah, which brings me... Sorry. But
and so
I wanted to mention about then, if people are then conglomerated into their own private churches, then who knows what they're being taught. And then you get people psyching out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, absolutely. There's so many different versions of religion that you can't even begin to, if we would have such a muddled up... All we would be talking about is religion in schools. You know what I mean? If we had religion completely just like, the teacher gets to freaking, you know what I mean? Like everybody be arguing just about like, it'd be like trying to argue whether Superman could beat the Hulk in school. You know what I mean? You'd be like, and you just like, you never get any learning done because all you're going to do is go round and round about how, you know what I mean? And you keep making fictitious things that match your worldview on,
Well, like Alice and her, sorry, I'll edit that out. But my niece was in Christian school for a while, and I looked at her books, and she was literally being taught just Genesis and that science will lie to you.
Yeah.
Exactly as that one Australian dude who built that ark building was teaching the kids.
Right.
It kind of, I was like, hang on a second. And like they do every morning a pledge allegiance to America and then a pledge allegiance to the Christian flag too.
Yeah. It's
it seems kind of weird.
The Pledge of Allegiance is... I don't care if it's in... It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me it says, in God we trust. Only if it said in Leprechauns we trust, it wouldn't bother me.
They certainly want that their Christian ideals to be equal to that of government ideals.
I know, and it's just ridiculous because... again, if we started going there, we'd have all these people with all these differing views... of their different, versions of Christianity. You know, you got some people saying it's evolution's involved, some people saying it's the Bible's literal, some people say it, you know, you got all, it can't, is like, I guess maybe
we can't accommodate everything.
when they would finally get, maybe, you know, not even then, but ultimately, it's like, you guys should get right with each other first.
Just find a common ground.
Decide which version's the real thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, the common ground is the godless, you know.
Absolutely, secular.
And they all reject that.
Yeah, and that's
like why you're right, they'll never be able to find a common ground there.
But because they're so like it's just a surface deep in social issues. People forget that there's 1,000 different versions of Christianity. So when they say that their views aren't being respected, and they feel like everybody has the same view, because you start hearing about Christianity and you forget that there's 1,000 different versions of it.
It's why it's too bad we don't have like a common. Well, part of what I'm saying about how I would like to see the education system revamped completely is like teaching people how to think better, you know.
Right.
Instead of so much just historical textbook stuff. And if they wanted to get that, they could get it from their, you know, religious school. I mean, but then you also don't want to have like the state paying for religious
at all
schools. You know what I mean?
At all.
Yeah. So basically, we have, I think, what the world is going to slowly become more of in America is private schools that people just pay a bit of money each for their kid to go to.
Still, religion starts dying out. I mean, it seems to be dying out. You just have like a last little hoopla of people trying to like claim religion's being shut out of school. It's just like a stupid, and you know, I think having this conversation has helped driving that freaking issue away.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like a stupid thing to say that, you know, like, oh, because there's mass shootings or problems, you know, we need to have religion in schools. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
You know, if you think religion needs to be in schools, because you have a very fucking simple-minded view of like that everybody seems to believe your fucking religion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which,
that's what
like we said, we'll never find a common ground.
That's why you need to have it secular.
Though, it's like having prayer there ain't gonna fucking stop that.
Absolutely.
Having security guards would probably help a lot.
Yeah, well, there's any fucking answer, but the answer is not having, you know, like that if you start every day with a prayer, it's gonna fucking put a force field around your fucking school.
No, but like as I was getting at, it's so obviously a society problem, you know.
For sure, of course.
And it's like, so people who think that their worldview is the optimal way are going to assume that if everybody just was there, then it would problem solved. Even though really there's an underlying problem with religion that is like, what it really is like, I can predict you now, you know? It's like if we both have the same religion, well, oh, I'm Christian, you're Christian, then there's common things that we know about each other. And people can really play on you now. People can like prey on that, I mean, prediction.
For sure, people do every day. That's why you got fucking like prophet preachers like fucking Joel Osteen and shit.
How it's like everybody's born a sucker. You gotta have to endure like something in order to learn a lesson, you know.
Well, so bullet points there, man. Freaking.
Yeah, that's a good length.
Yeah.
By the way.
Prayer in school, not gonna fucking stop mass shootings.
No.
Prayer in school shouldn't be allowed because you're gonna have fucking a muddled up goddamn water when you realize that not everybody believes your fucking specific version of a deity in the sky.
Yeah. So it's just asking too much to
and
get, like,
also, if you really fucking believe your shit, dude, why don't you fucking tell your kids, hey, you know, say a silent prayer to God because he's listening? Why do you feel like it's got to be some, like, you know?
Man, yeah, I could say a quick thing because I've seen it in, you know, like some person in front of a large group of people just wants to lead a prayer, and so they'll make like an announcement along the lines of, well, if you don't care, then just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? They don't say it like that. They say it politely.
Yeah.
I could bring up examples on YouTube probably because I think Thunderfoot touched on this.
Yeah.
Once.
Well, if you want,
it's like that just seems so like unchristian-y, you know, like they don't even get what.
I know. Yeah, they're drawing a big old attention. They should just do it, like, and just do it. You know what I'm saying? Just like get together and not sit there and be like, hey, man, if you don't like it, let's just get together. It's just like, seriously, if you really have a belief in this thing, that's why I feel it's the belief's almost like fake. Because if you really believed in this, if you really believe it's all like this fucking, you know, shit that's in your soul, and that he hears you without saying words, and that he really wants to see how you're going to be, that he's going to see that you're devout, and you guys, we're doing this not for the attention, we're doing this not to make a statement, we're doing this because we need to do this to praise him. Let's have that conversation now. Let's smoke a J and talk about this one. That one closed it.